Greetings, and oh boy, oh man. Sometimes I wonder what our government is thinking. Are they literally dream walking through life? Can you even be that disconnected from reality to not realize what the basic idea of the Barbra Streisand effect is? I mean, I get it. A politician probably doesn't know the word, but we all know the effect of it. So if you are living under a rock for some reason, or, which is understandable, you don't give a shit about movies, because most modern movies are garbage, you might have not seen that Uwe Boll, a very infamous director, has released a new movie that is essentially about a guy going John Wick on some visitors from a faraway country. And essentially the movie didn't get an H rating, and if that happens, you're kind of fucked. The movie cannot be released. It's essentially similar to how when a video game gets put on the index, you can't legally watch the movie. Now, if you think about this for a millisecond, you should realize that that is the worst thing as a concerned politician, I guess, or whatever concerned person. It's the worst thing you could do to limit anything's reach. We're not just talking about movies. What about like music, a video game, or speech in general? If you label it, basically what you don't want to create is you don't want to Voldemort something. You don't want to create the forbidden fruit. But for some reason, the German government or the institutions that be decided to do exactly that. And we all know, especially today in the modern age of the internet, first of all, you can't just censor something, no matter where you try it, locally or globally. And secondly, it's probably the worst thing you could do to the reach of a project. And that means you will give it so much more attention. And that is what I genuinely don't understand, because you should have the wherewithal to notice and realize what the internet is as a tool. And keep in mind, not all politicians are like 60 plus years old. There are people in there that should have the knowledge what happens when you do that, but no. And you have to really look at the scale of things. We're not talking about a really prolific director, like a movie director that has some sort of positive influence. Uwe Boll isn't known as a legendary movie creator. He is kind of more on the line of The Room or similar projects. He is infamous, not just for literally punching his critics into submission, which is honestly kind of based, but also making generally horrible movies. And to be honest, since about 15 years ago, I kind of stopped caring about movies. I never gave a shit about Uwe Boll and any of his movie projects, especially since he routinely gets an ironic reward for making shitty movies. Like, he literally gets rewarded for making garbage. And let's be honest here, taste is all personal, it's in the eye of the beholder, but most Uwe Boll projects were pretty fucking bad. And if you look at the situation, as someone with a healthy mind, to keep it simple or to keep it as polite as I can, you shouldn't worry about any of this. The best thing you could be doing is to just ignore it. If they just ignored Uwe Boll's newest pet project, probably nothing would have happened. At least the movie wouldn't have blown up like the way it did. Again, you create something, we all know how this went, even when you were younger back then. You know, if you're like an old fart by now, when you were a kid, anything that was out of your reach immediately became something you wanted. Whether that was a movie, or going to a pub where you were not supposed to be, or drinking alcohol for the first time, the more a governing body or a person of authority pushes against you getting the thing, the more people want it. And that is reflected in media, in history, everywhere. Essentially, right? If you think about this, if any of the involved people that made the decision to ban the movie would have picked up a single book, whether that is a history book or, I don't know, a generic story in the past 50 years that was written in the past 50 years, there have been examples of exactly that happening. You don't need to be a genius to figure this out. But for some reason, it happens again and again and again. There's no other way to treat this. You just have to ridicule, point and laugh at the people responsible for this because it's so obvious, even if this movie project wasn't sincere and it was just a provocation, which I think it partially might be because Uwe Boll is of a specific political leaning and he's also not very liked in the industry. So it stands to reason that he might have made the movie to deliberately piss people off. And also there's probably a few of his political views reflected in the movie. No shit. It's like anyone that expresses themselves through media also has a little bit of their politics and opinions in that piece of media. That's normal. So it was pretty obvious how this movie would have ended up, no matter what you think this is, if it's just provocative or if it's genuine. And it's also so typical. It's so typical that a movie like that, with a topic like that, obviously gets censored. What can you even say to this? Is there something stronger than irony? Like, is there a stronger word to describe this? And I really want to hone in on the idiocy of whoever made the decision. These people ensured that this is probably going to be one of Uwe Boll's most successful projects. Is it going to make the money back? How, popular is the movie going to be? What's the budgeting and so on and so forth? That might still not be a success. The movie might still turn out to not be successful, financially speaking, but you certainly have created a piece of zeitgeist with what you've done to the movie. This might become like some underground cult classic now. And again, you have to keep in mind, this is an Uwe Boll movie. This could be, unironically, the worst piece of dog shit ever. The reality probably is, and no, I haven't seen the movie. Again, I don't give a shit about Uwe Boll and the garbage he produces, but even me who is like very apathetic when it comes to movies, I'm looking at this and going, just for shits and giggles, I might unironically watch this and make a review because it's funny. And again, it's also provocative to watch the movie even though you're not supposed to, and then, signal boost it a little bit because that's honestly what you deserve if you try to stifle creativity like this. It's one of the worst aspects of censorship, trying to dictate what is and isn't creatively viable and what should and shouldn't see the light of day. And let's be honest, no matter what you do, these forbidden projects are going to make their circles around. It really isn't that practical to waste time thinking about how this always keeps happening. I think the more productive thing we should do with this situation is to see and kind of watch where the movie's going and how much publicity is getting, because it would be really funny if this blows up even more than it already is currently. And then continue to laugh at these people. By the way, if you give a shit, Uwe Boll has given honest interviews about the movie. Unfortunately, I think they're in German. You can find them on the internet if you care about it. I guess just put on automatic subtitles or like the AI voice thingy if that is accurate, and listen to the only person that you should be listening to when we're talking about the movie, and that is the creator or maybe one of the actors, because these people are going to have the only honest opinion about the movie. You shouldn't listen to some random politician or some sort of institution that decides which age rating a movie gets. These people aren't genuine. They are all politically compromised. And honestly, if you listen to Uwe Boll's interview, you realize, and who would have expected it, the movie isn't a right-wing dog whistle and some sort of, Nazi propaganda piece. It isn't a super far-right, violence-glorifying piece of media. It's actually probably fairly normal. Let's be honest here. Most of the time, things like this just turn out to be pretty normal movies in the end, or a pretty normal video game. I mean, think back to Hatred, for example. Hatred was is kind of a very mediocre game, but it created so much fucking hype around the release that people were eager to see this, and it turned out to not be much at all. But it was edgy and people wanted it to be banned, and that is why people ended up playing the game. I don't even know if it's indexed or not in Germany. I've no idea. It probably is on the index or some shit. I'm fairly certain Germany didn't want to see Hatred being published. Because, of course, Germany would do that to an obvious rage bait video game. Independent of what Citizen Vigilante is supposed to be, whether it's honest, serious rage bait or not, and again, if you listen to the creator, it is a serious, honest piece of work, it doesn't matter. You should be able to watch it. And censoring it only makes more people watch it. 1 + 1 = 2. But I guess for our censorious institution, it equals I don't know, 11 or pi. I will never understand these people. I will never understand these people, and I will never empathize with them. Instead, and this is what we should all do, we should just point, laugh, ridicule and shame them, and enjoy the things that they don't want us to enjoy anyway. By the way, that doesn't mean you need to highlight and signal boost everything just because it's quote-unquote right-wing. But in this case, I think just to stick it to the man, so to say, I think it's actually worth watching the movie unironically. I think I'm gonna do it. I haven't watched the movie seriously in a long time. Dude, I have no Netflix subscription. I haven't watched a series, besides maybe like an anime series, in a long time. Like, I might unironically get to watch a movie again. This stupid thing that they've done around the movie might get me to turn on my TV again. Well, I don't have a TV, but I can watch the movie on my PC screen. Unironically. So stupid. So dumb. But also, didn't everybody expect this to happen? And at least it's funny. We can have another laughing session. Maybe watch the movie. I'm probably going to do so. And that's it. See you next time.